All right, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a pretty fascinating federal intelligence interrogation technique. Now look, this isn't that standard dramatic interrogation room stuff you see in movies. Instead, it's a highly targeted method that exposes an unfakeable psychological glitch in the human brain. If you've ever wanted to know exactly how to tell if someone is just totally fabricating a story, well, you are definitely in the right place. Let's just dive right into this.
So 99% of people get lied to. And frankly, most of the time, we have absolutely no idea it's even happening. We all like to think we have this great gut instinct, right? But standard lie detection tricks completely fail when you're up against master manipulators, narcissists, or really just your everyday professional liars. Because let's face it, they've figured out the game.
Think about literally everything we've been taught since childhood about how to spot a liar. Sweating, stuttering, fidgeting, looking away. Well, let me just clear this up right now. These are classic lie detection myths. Trained liars actually know you're watching for these exact behaviors. They've trained themselves to look you dead in the eye, smile, and tell a seamless, beautiful story without even blinking. Those standard tricks fail because they rely on emotional stress, and a good liar just isn't stressed by those things anymore.
Which brings us to kind of the ultimate question here. What if there's a backdoor in the human brain? Like an actual biological glitch that even the most calculated ice-cold liar simply cannot control, because it is physically impossible to fake. Honestly, this is where the psychology of deceit gets incredibly exciting.
Part 1. The core glitch, cognitive overload. To catch a liar, you really have to understand the mechanics of deception. It's like this. When an innocent person tells you what happened last night, they're basically just streaming a video file that's already saved on their hard drive. They just hit play. But when a liar speaks, their brain is running heavy, highly complex 3D rendering software in real time. To render that fake video, the liar has to do 3 incredibly difficult things all at exactly the same time. First, they have to invent fake details that actually sound realistic. Second, they have to actively suppress the actual truth so it doesn't accidentally slip out of their mouth. And third, they have to constantly monitor your facial expressions to see if you're actually buying their story. Just think about the exhausting mental gymnastics required to do all 3 of those things at once. And this brings us right to cognitive overload. This is the core psychological theory behind why this particular interrogation technique actually works. It's the extreme mental exhaustion that happens when a person's brain completely maxes out its processing capacity just to maintain a fabrication. The brain only has so much bandwidth, and lying eats up almost all of it. In fact, consider this for a second. A liar is already operating at 95% of their brain's processing power just to keep their story straight. They're basically walking on a mental tightrope, and there's almost 0 processing power left for anything unexpected. And their only safety net on that tightrope is a chronological sequence. Notice how it flows perfectly. Left the house at 8, arrived at the party at 9, left at 10. They constructed the lie chronologically, from step A to step B to step C. They meticulously practiced it forward. But here's the secret. They never practiced it backward. Part 2. Setting the reverse trap. So here is the golden rule. Do not confront. When you suspect someone is lying, do not call them out and definitely do not show skepticism. If you show your cards, their defensive shields go up instantly. Instead, play it completely casual. Not along, just let them finish their entire, perfect story so they completely drop their guard and think they're entirely safe. Then, once they're perfectly comfortable, you deliver this exact strike. You say something like, "Wow, that sounds crazy. Just to make sure I got it right, before you arrived at the house, what happened just before you got in the car?" Look really closely at what you just did. You didn't accuse them of anything. It's an incredibly simple, totally unaccusing question. But in their head, a massive error screen just popped up. Part 3. The 4 fatal glitches. So these are the 4 specific behavioral tells that happen when a liar's mental bandwidth hits 100% capacity. We've got the verbal stall, the micro-freeze, the bleached story, and timeline contradictions. Let's break down exactly what each of these looks like in the real world. First up is the verbal stall. You'll hear a sudden, really dramatic drop in their speaking speed. They'll suddenly use heavy filler words like, wait, let me think, or they might even repeat your entire question back to you. Why? Because their brain is desperately trying to buy like 3 seconds of processing time to reverse engineer their forward-facing script. Next is the micro-freeze. See, an innocent person remembers real events in fragments. They can jump around their memory pretty easily without physically locking up. A liar, however, will physically freeze. Their eyes will often dart up and to the left, which psychologists identify as the brain's visual construction zone, as they frantically try to build that timeline in reverse.
And that leads us directly to the third glitch, the bleached story. When they told the story forward, they gave you this rich, colorful narrative full of beautiful fake details, right? But when forced backward, their overloaded brain drops all those decorative details just to save battery power. The story suddenly becomes incredibly vague, bare bones, and just entirely empty. Finally, we have timeline contradictions. Because their mental bandwidth is hitting absolute capacity, they are going to make a mistake. They'll accidentally mix up their sequence of events. They'll confidently claim they did something at 9 p.m., completely forgetting that in their original forward story, they claimed they didn't even arrive until 10 p.m. The lie literally just collapses under its own weight.
Part 4. The ultimate takeaway.
The thing is, truth exists in 3D. A real memory has a solid foundation. You can examine it from the side, from the top, forward, or backward, and it remains completely intact. A lie, on the other hand, is just a flat piece of paper. It's an illusion that only works if you read it from left to right. The second you flip the page, the whole thing vanishes.
So I really want you to remember this practical application for mastering your social dynamics. Next time you feel that gut instinct, that little alarm bell going off saying something just isn't right, don't argue with the person, don't confront them. Just quietly, gently, reverse the timeline and watch what happens.
I would absolutely love to hear from you on this. What is the craziest lie you've ever caught someone telling? Drop your experiences in the comments below. And hey, if you want to keep mastering the hidden laws of human psychology before they're used against you, make sure to follow. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.